Hey guys, it's Kay from KS Anonymous, and I am back today with another episode of r/MaliciousCompliance. Today was a laid-back day at my factory job. The plant makes juice mixtures, and my line was down for 95% of the day. When your line is down, you clean up, but after half a day of cleaning, you start to run out of things to clean. Typically, management sends us home if it's this bad, but we all have a safety meeting at the end of shift, so we're stuck here. To occupy my time, I start writing about the ergonomics of my position, box stacker. I'm new, this is a summer job, and I'm an inquisitive person who broke his wrists 3 years ago. That is when, let's call her Jane, waddles over to me. Jane is the lead on the next line down that is running product. "What are you doing?" she asks. I cannot even think for a moment before, "Not what you're supposed to be doing." That irritated me because I felt like she was not treating me like a person, so I replied, "What should I be doing?" "Cleaning," she says. She is right, but I've been scraping, wiping, and degreasing every surface for 5 to 6 hours now. I've run out of things to wipe down a second time. "What can I clean for you?" I ask. Jane just walks off to God knows where, and I go about sweeping a clean floor. Later on, she calls me over to her line to watch where the boxes come out of the packer. The boxes are getting jammed up sometimes, and she wants me to unjam them when it happens. That is fine, and I keep my eye on it like a hawk. If a box is moving like it could get stuck, I jump in and push it on. I do this for 10 minutes and have to unjam about a dozen boxes. Out of the blue, Jane has found something for me to clean, as if she hadn't just given me a job that is production critical. The whole thing will stop if a jam stays too long. She found this yellow metal guard fence that is covered in weeks worth of dust. The thing hadn't been cleaned in a while, and truthfully, it didn't need cleaned ever. It's in a corner away from everything. I point to the packer and say something to the effect of, "What about this job?" Her reply is that I haven't done anything there anyway, and that I should be useful by grabbing a rag and wiping the yellow fence down. No protest from me. One fence cleaning coming up. Before I could even walk past her to get to the fence, the line goes down. She gets frustrated and looks to see the boxes jammed, turns to me and asks, "How many boxes did you unjam? It was working fine while you were sitting there." I was so glad she asked. "I don't know, 10 or 12 boxes? You really should have someone sit and unjam them as they come out the packer." Oh my gosh, I bet that really frustrated her too. She was probably so mad at him for saying that. That sounds like a terrible thing to have to go through. Like, just cleaning things that are already clean because you have literally nothing else to do. This happened in the Netherlands, and here's some relevant info. In our country, citizens who earn less than a certain amount of money and rent a cheap place have a right to housing benefits. This is to ensure that young people are able to move out and get their own place. These housing benefits are calculated and paid by the tax authorities, and their call center has a reputation for not being that helpful. Me and my boyfriend moved into a cheap, crappy place, and we soon started getting mail for the previous tenant from several collection agencies. We sent them all back with "no longer lives here" written on them, and after a year, most of the mail stopped. We kept getting mail addressed to him from the tax authorities, but we thought nothing of it. After all, how can this guy's debts affect us, right? Well, the story. One day, we received a letter from the tax authorities addressed to my boyfriend. It said that since a resident on our address earned 34,000 euros, well above the max for housing benefits, that my boyfriend would no longer receive housing benefits and had to pay it all back. The letter also asked us to pay the debt of about 2,000 euros in name of the previous resident. My boyfriend earned about 16,000 euros, and I was a poor student, so this was quite a lot of money, obviously. I called the tax authorities, shortened to TA from now, to get this resolved, and I was sure that whoever I spoke to would realize there had been some kind of mistake here. First call center employees will all be named CE, previous tenant will be RG for random guy. "Hello, how may I help you?" "Hi, I received a letter this morning, but it seems there's been a mistake. RG doesn't live with us." "Okay, let's see. No, he really does live with you. I have proof of his residency." I think I would know if for the past 2 years I shared a bed with a random guy." "Oh, maybe there's been a mistake. You need to mail us proof that nobody else lives at your residence." So I set about getting that piece of paper from City Hall. After a few days, I got it and sent it to TA. A week later, I received a reminder letter to pay the money I owed. I called the call center again. I mailed you proof that RG doesn't live with us, but I just received a reminder to pay. Yes, I see a note on your account that says RG has moved out, so you will need to pay for the amount you received while he lived with you, and you will receive your housing benefits again starting next month. What? I never lived together with RG. He got kicked out 2 years ago, and then we moved in. Oh, then you need a different form from City Hall to prove he moved out at that date. So I went and got that different form. Again, took a few days. Calling the center again. I sent you this new form. Is the issue now resolved? Has RG finally been removed from my residence in your administration? Yes, we removed BF as per your request. You removed BF? Yes. That is my boyfriend. You were supposed to remove RG, the guy that lived here before we did. Please hold, ma'am. I have to ask my coworker about this. Other CE after a few minutes. Hi, I hear that the wrong person got removed from your residence. Am I correct in assuming that you and your boyfriend live there and RG does not? I was super happy to finally be understood. Yes, that's right. Alright, I have now removed RG and added BF. You should be able to see this change in your account within 5 business days. The change did not show up in my account. So of course, I called again. Hi, I called last week and an employee said they made some changes to my account, but I still don't see them. Oh, that takes up to 2 weeks. They misinformed you. Sorry. After another week, no changes. Another call. I was told my issue should have been resolved by now, but nothing has changed. Can you please check if the person I spoke to with earlier forgot something? Yes, she never made any changes. Why didn't you call a week ago? Didn't you notice that nothing changed? Anyway, I'll fix it now. I did notice it. That's why I called last week, but that employee said that it takes 2 weeks to see the changes. Next time, just keep calling till you get an employee willing to help you, okay? Waited yet another week, still nothing. I was now 1 week away from my case being sent to a collection agency for refusing payment. The malicious compliance. This time, I called and kept calling and calling and calling and calling. I called every hour on the dot to ask if they fixed my issue yet. I kept this up for 3 days until I finally got an employee who fixed it. The kicker? While he was on the phone with me, I could see changes being made to my account on the computer. It didn't even take 5 business days at all. This experience made me realize that being annoying can sometimes really help to speed things along, though I still prefer being nice to call center employees, and that tax authority really were as dumb and unhelpful as everybody said. It also taught me to document everything and write down the name of the person you're calling so you can file a complaint to request to talk to that person again later. It is amazing how completely and utterly inefficient some groups of people can be. Like government agencies, you think like they want their money, they want their stuff resolved. Of course, this error would have resulted in them getting money, so I guess, you know, that would be nice for them. But it's ridiculous the amount of errors that government agencies and certain agencies tend to be known for. And it's so annoying because I hate being on the phone. I don't like confrontation. And I had to deal with medical bills not too long ago. And basically we had something to do with like a dispute or the insurance or something. So I called the medical office and talked to them, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll just freeze it and ignore the bill we sent you. It's totally fine. But I got another bill and I'm like, So I called in again and they didn't freeze my account. How are people like, yeah, I just did this to your account when they didn't do that to the account? Like, whatever. To preface this, I work as a wastewater technician. My job involves taking a truck with a 600-gallon water tank and a diesel-powered compressor and blowing clogs out of sewer lines. Your toilet's back up? I'm the guy the city sends out with some big mad scientist gloves and rubber boots. I love my job, not because of the subject matter, but because of the laid-back way the job operates. And the pay and benefits don't suck either. So a few weeks back, me and my coworker get a call out to this house. I look up the address, find the lateral sewer line from the house to the main on the map, and then look at the call history. This one's a problem child. And the notes even make mention of the resident at this address being nasty and deliberately failing to follow instructions on sewer maintenance. The fact that someone actually had to give them instructions on how to not flush hand towels down the toilet really speaks volumes here. Actual cotton hand towels, not just wet wipes. I know they say they're flushable, they really aren't. Well, we get out there and there's a city councilman waiting for us. Turns out that the resident is their relative somehow. I didn't dig too far and only found that out afterwards. Whatever, we do our job and check the city clean out, which is usually at the front of your yard under a little metal lid. Most people's are grown over by their lawn. And there's no flowing or standing water there. This is where our job should have ended. The city's responsibility only extends to from the sewer main to that clean out, no further. Well, the councilman starts telling us to run our line further up. I explain that we have to have the residents sign a waiver holding the city harmless for damages if we do that, and I have to get authorization from the wastewater department manager. The usual hoops, you know? He gets on the phone with my boss and starts rattling his cage about this, so my boss calls me on my phone, says, "Look, I know and you know that this is a bad idea, but do what he says or he's gonna make our lives hell." I agree, and the resident signs the waiver after we inform her of what could happen, and we start searching for the resident cleanout to push our line through and down to the sewer so it'll clear the entire lateral line. Well, we can't find it. It's probably under the porch that was added sometime in the last 3 years, and we can't get to it. Councilman goes ballistic over this, of course, because how dare we peons impede his ability to impress his own family. I call my boss back and inform him of this, and he says, "That lateral runs into a manhole, right? Just go through the manhole and up towards the house." The reason that I really didn't want to do this is that the compressor on that truck pushes out water at something near 4,000 psi, depending on which head we have on the hose. But the big man hath spoken. I log my token objection while fitting the lowest pressure head I have, because to heck with this, and hang up. Me and my coworker open the manhole, find the end of the lateral, and run the hose up to where we think the clog is. And fire. Suddenly, all kinds of stuff comes flowing out of the line. We cleared the clog. Yay us. We tell the resident to go flush her toilet so we can make sure it's flowing properly. She goes back in and then comes storming out, screaming about suing the city, we've destroyed her home, etc. I don't need to listen because I already know what happened, and she'd been warned. The pressure blew back up the 4-inch wide lateral, right up to her toilet and out of it, along with everything in its way. It hit the ceiling, it hit the window, it hit the walls. Councilman blows a gasket, and I point out that she signed a waiver, and that my boss has every call to or from his office recorded as a matter of official communication, so we have him ordering us to do this, and had informed both of them of the risks prior. We then left and headed back to the yard and left that guy screaming into a phone. My boss didn't stop laughing for at least 10 minutes after we got back, and started making photocopies of the waiver form we'd had the residents sign. I heard there was some kerfluffle about the whole incident at the next big meeting, and those photocopies were distributed, along with the recording of the councilman's call. I never heard of it going further than that. So, from my understanding, if you have the city come out to fix it, isn't that just like the city's problem? You don't have to pay them. So basically, this like big councilman person's family doesn't want to pay to fix their plumbing issue, and it's not really on the city's part, is what I'm gathering from this. And in an effort to fix it, they basically blew sewage all over this lady's bathroom because that's what they wanted. My favorite part is the photocopying bit. I just have like this mental image of someone just like grinning and casually yet somewhat gleefully making a bunch of copies of this random piece of paper because they just know what's coming next. I don't know, I just really like that. So this is not my story, but my buddy's. He works industrial work, and without giving too much away, he works a fairly essential position. Without him or someone to replace him, stuff can't happen. He works 12-hour shifts, 7 to 7. Policy is that you can work up to 4 hours of overtime after a 12 and no more. So one day, he's working a graveyard and it's his Friday. His lead hand comes up to him at about 5 a.m. and says that his replacement on the next shift called in and asks if he can stay for some overtime. The lead hand says he can leave whenever his replacement arrives. My buddy agrees, and at 7 a.m., the crew changes over. My friend hears nothing about his replacement, so he keeps on keeping on until 10 a.m. arrives. No replacement comes, so he hangs around a bit to see what's going on, as 10 a.m. is the cutoff time for overtime. No one says a word. The supervisor greets him and asks how the day is going. The lead hand does the same. It dawns on my friend that everyone totally forgot that he had worked nights and was there on overtime. So, since the first lead hand had said he would be released when the replacement came, he decided to keep working until either he got too tired or someone noticed. He worked a full 12 on top of his 12. That's a 24-hour shift, with half of it being overtime. At 7 p.m., the supervisor comes up to him and says that the next guy called in sick and, you guessed it, asked him to stay for overtime. My buddy wished he could have, but was beat and told the supervisor, "Nah, I just did 24 hours because no one released me," and left. He got called into a few union meetings after that act of malicious compliance. I think it's great how not only did they totally not realize that he had just pulled a 24-hour shift, then they're like, "Oh, by the way, would you like to work more overtime today?" Okay, so not mine, but my dad's. And it's short, so enjoy. The cast is D is dad, I is idiot, and B is boss. Okay, so some backstory. My dad was working in a grocery store in his town. It was 5 minutes until closing, and my dad was on closing shift. Idiot asked for potato salad, and there were no more containers left besides in the deli bag, which was locked, and the displays. Edit, I am talking about American-style potato salad, and yes, I have had German potato salad when I did live in Germany. Hello? Can you give me potato salad? No, sorry, the deli is closed. Well, the potato salad is there. Well, yeah, but we have no containers. Well, what about the containers on the shelf? Now, those containers were twice as old as my dad and had heaps of dust on them. My dad scoops the potato salad into the display containers. I leaves with his potato salad. My dad's boss comes up and says, "You know that those are older than me, right?" He then sweeps up a massive dust bunny from the shelf. Yep, I know, but he insisted on getting one of those containers, so I had to give him the potato salad. After all, the customer is always right. I see we trained you well. Okay, a few questions here though. Like how did containers manage to sit in the same place for that long at all? Like even if it was just a year, they're, you know, probably exaggerating about how old the containers are. So let's imagine that they're there for a year. Like how though? How does that happen? I love how this guy just happily leaves with his potato salad that's like probably at least 10% dust and maybe like dead bugs or something. Like, oh my gosh. Anyway, that is actually going to wrap up today's video. Sorry if I don't sound as maybe peppy or, I don't know, giggly as usual. I'm not feeling super great today, but I hope that you enjoyed the video anyway. And if you did, go ahead and drop a like and let me know your thoughts about these stories in the comments below. If you ever have anything you want to share with me for narration in my videos, go ahead and send it to ksanonymous@gmail.com. I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!